Welcome back in, everybody, to another episode of Tide Talk Live. Stacey Blackwood, joined as always by my good buddy Jake Thomas. Jake, the Crimson Tide are fresh off that loss to Texas. They're going to look to rebound this weekend against the South Florida Bulls, and got a lot to look forward to in our preview and prediction show. We're going to dive into that in just a minute. Jake, how you doing tonight?
Doing great, man. It's pretty much middle of the week. As soon as you get this video out for everybody. So it's been a great week. Yeah, the loss stings, but you have 24 hours to sulk on it, and then it's on to the next one. So that's what we're going to do, and that's what I hope the team does as well.
Yep, it's time to regroup and like we'll talk about here in a minute, everything that this team wants to accomplish is still in front of them. The season's not over, despite what social media says. So we're going to dive into that and kind of preview the game as well, and kind of what we're kind of looking forward to this weekend, the matchup down there in Tampa. But you guys know the drill. Make sure you do like, share, and subscribe today. Jump in the comment section and give us your score prediction for Saturday's matchup with South Florida. Also, give us who you think the MVP will be on each side of the ball for the Crimson Tide in that matchup with the Bulls. Jake, like we always do, we're going to look at the offensive side of the ball for Alabama, the defensive side of the ball for Alabama, and kind of how they match up and what we're expecting to see against South Florida. And we'll also give our MVPs for the game as well and a score prediction at the end of the show. Jake, I think it's where we need to start. It's been the talk ever since the game ended on Saturday night. Offensively, what does this team need to do? And maybe even beyond just matching up against South Florida, what does this offense need to do to get on track?
Number one is finding an identity. We got to figure out. And honestly, it's time to put up or shut up. The offensive line all season is talking about how they want to be more physical, be more aggressive. I know Tyler Booker said he's pissed off, but are you really? Are you really pissed off to the point where you're going to go out against not only against South Florida, but the rest of the SEC coming up, and you're going to move them guys out of your way and get running lanes open for your running backs to get 5, 6, 7 yards of carry? Are you going to protect the quarterback? I don't know if it's going to be Jalen Milroe, but regardless, it don't matter who's back there at quarterback, whether it's Ty Buckner, Jalen Milroe, or Tyler Buckner or Ty Simpson. If you can't you can't block for your quarterback and he's on his butt, you're not making plays offensively. So regardless who the quarterback is, the offensive line has got to play a lot better. If you're really pissed off about it, Tyler Booker, get everybody else in the offensive line pissed off as well and go do something about it instead of just talking about it.
Yeah, I'm sick of the talk, Jake. I'm sick of the talk from I mean, even I don't want people to take this wrong way, but I'm sick of the talk from Nick Saban as well about
Right.
the lack of execution. And Tyler Booker mentioned the energy level. Kool-Aid McKinstry mentioned the energy level. If you can't get excited to play Texas at home, one of the biggest home non-conference matchups you've ever had in the Nick Saban era, if that doesn't get you excited, then you don't love football. And if you don't love football, what are you doing at Alabama?
Right.
And I don't want to throw them guys under the bus. And I don't even mean to come off in a negative way towards those guys. But, like you said, Jake, it's time to put up and shut up. I don't care what they have to say. I don't want to hear what they have to say. I want them to show me on the field.
Right.
How much does the game mean to you? How bad do you want to make that guy quit in front of you? That's what I want to see. I don't want to hear about it. I want you to be about it. And I'm looking forward to that, Jake. I hope they do it. They certainly can.
Yes.
They have the talent. They have the
Absolutely.
tools. It's just about doing it. And like you've said, I don't want them to talk about it. I want them to be about it. So, and I'm with you. It starts up front with the offensive line, but it's all 11 players on both sides of the football,
Right.
Jake. They've got to be better. I mean, right now through 2 games of the year, Will Reichard and James Burnett are the team MVPs.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
I mean, I say that almost in jest, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
It's the truth. Name me 2 players, or name me any other player on the team who has done their job as well as Will Reichard or James Burnham has done their jobs.
I can't, honestly.
Okay. I mean, that's it. They have been the best 2 players on the team through 2 weeks.
Right.
And I don't even know that it's relatively close.
Yeah, you're right.
And so it's time for everybody else on the team to step up, and we'll get to the defense in a minute, but it's the same thing on that side of the ball as it is on the offensive side of the ball. Show me the Bama standard. Show me what it means to you. Show me
Mm-hmm.
you want to, make their what's quit. I want to see it. I don't want to hear about it. I'm sick of the talk. I need some action. And like you said, it starts with Tyler Booker, J.C. Latham, Seth McLaughlin. Those guys are now veteran players.
Right.
I want to
Mm-hmm.
see it. I want to
Yeah.
see it. So that's where it all starts, Jake. I'm with you. It starts with those guys up front. They've got to be better. And I'm interested to see what Coach Saban and Tommy Rees are going to do at the quarterback position, Jake. Look,
Yeah.
Milroe has shown flashes. There's no doubt about it. Milroe has shown that given time, he can be a really good football player. I think he can be a good quarterback as long as he can continue to make progress in processing the defense and reading coverages, not staying honed in on whoever that first option is and staring down a receiver. He's got to get out of that, Jake, because you're not going to beat
Yeah.
good teams with that type of quarterback play.
Right.
You're just not. You've got to have somebody who can read coverages, process the defense, and make plays in the passing game on a consistent basis. And right now, Jalen Milroe is not getting that done. So if they think that somebody else, either it's Tyler Buckner or Ty Simpson or maybe even Dylan Logan, if they think they can get that done, then it's time to make the move now.
Yeah.
I mean, the
Mm-hmm.
time for waiting is over because, like I mentioned at the onset of the show, everything this team wants to accomplish is still in front of them.
Right.
They have not played an SEC game yet, so they've got a clean slate when it comes to the SEC. If you make it to the SEC championship game with one loss and you put up a good fight against probably Georgia, or you even beat Georgia, you're in the playoff.
Mm-hmm.
So everything
Absolutely.
that you want is still ahead of you, but you've got to start to make things right now. It starts with those guys up front. It goes on to the quarterback situation, and I think if you look at tight end, I think we've been pretty good at tight end. Amari Niblack's been a really good player. The receivers have really stepped up and made
Yeah.
plays so far through 2 games. The running back situation, I think we need to see maybe more of the younger guys if maybe they can be more explosive in the running game. So it's time to do something. You have to. It's a call to action, really, is what this is. You've
Yeah.
got to do something. Some minor changes have to be made. I'm not saying you have to revamp the entire offense. I'm not saying you have to do a wholesale change on who you play. But I'm saying if you're going to make changes, the time is now. It's this week at South Florida. It's time to
Mm-hmm.
make the changes. It's time to see the change, and hopefully it's for the better.
Yeah, I agree 100% on all that, Stacey. You don't want to be making a change against Ole Miss the week after. That's for sure. You got to do it this week, and I feel like at this point we do need to see what the other options are at quarterback. They may circle back around and just say, okay, well, Milroe is still gives us the best shot, and if that's the case, then so be it. But at least they made that circle and tried them all out. But like you said, it's about Milroe. He has shown flashes. Flashes. He does have some good about his game. He does have some negatives about his game, but everybody's focusing on the negatives, but they need to focus on the positives as well. Because I feel like he almost as bad as it hurt in that Texas game, he did hurt us with those 2 interceptions. He also kept us in that game a little while as well by going down the field and leading a touchdown drive. So, you don't want to be negative about a player. I mean, I've told people this on social media this week. They're 18 and 20-year-old kids. We got to remember that, and we are spoiled as a fan base because we want to be perfect. How many championships has Alabama won with one loss? I mean,
Yeah.
that's how we need to be thinking. This loss is not going to hurt us. We moved to 10th. If we win out, guess what? We're back to 4th or 3rd, just depending on how the rest of the SEC shakes out. And if Georgia or that cupcake schedule is still number 1 at that time, we beat them. Heck, we go to number 1 if we've been in the SEC championship game. So the goals are still there, but it's time for the players. We hadn't talked about defense yet, but Dallas Turner, he's another one who taught big all season. Where was you at in the biggest game of pretty much your career? Last Saturday, you had I think 1 or 2 tackles. You didn't show up when you needed to, and you're a leader of this team. So that was very disappointing that happened as well.
Yeah, and we're going to get to the defense in just a
Mhm.
second. Um, I want to point out something. I think you need to, now that we've passed the loss. It's time to move
Mhm.
on. I think most everybody's over the just being pissed off about it now
Yeah.
stage, and look at it from this point of view.
Mhm.
Instead of playing a cupcake in week 2, Alabama had Texas.
Yep.
Um, So if they played a cupcake, they would have won. I mean, the truth is that they're probably better than I mean, they're better than South Florida. They're probably better than Ole Miss, Arkansas, Mississippi State. So you're looking at a team that was going to be, if they played a cupcake, they're 5, 6, 7, and 0 heading
Mhm.
into Texas A&M, and you don't even know what kind of team you got.
Right.
Well, at
Mhm.
least now you know what you got, and you have time
Mhm.
to make the corrections.
Right.
So that's one positive aspect or positive way to kind of look at the situation. Now you know what you've got and you know the changes that need to be made. Now, whether they can make those changes and improve, that's yet to be seen. Like I was saying, Jake, they have time to make those changes and correct them
Mhm.
instead of having to wait till halfway through the season and really not knowing who you are. They found out early who they are. They can make the changes, correct them, hopefully, and get back on track and make a run, at winning the SEC West and getting to Atlanta and hopefully a berth in the college football playoff. So season's
Mhm.
still ahead of them. Everything they want to accomplish is still ahead of them. It's just about getting those things corrected. And there's plenty to correct, Jake. The penalties is another thing I want to touch on real quick before we get to the defensive side of the football, Jake. Um, 10 penalties for 90 yards at home. I just it's unbelievable, Jake. I don't even have the words for it.
Yeah, that was very disheartening, because it seemed like that very first game. I don't understand it's Middle Tennessee State, but only 2 penalties. I'm like, okay, this team's a lot more disciplined than years past. Well, the discipline just went out the window Saturday night because we was making mental mistakes, making mental penalties for no reason. And I got to mention real quick, but I don't know what's gotten into Seth McLaughlin. He cannot hit a shotgun snap anymore. I'm like, what has happened between the off seasons and now? Because he has struggled of late, and but I feel like that can be fixed. But the penalties, man, it's all up here. So all that can be adjusted and can be fixed. It's just are you going to put your mind to it? That's the biggest thing. And a Saban led team, I know they can put their mind to it and make the correct changes needed. But it goes back to the players. Are they willing to do that?
Yeah, I mean they've got to get it done, Jake. That those 10 penalties in a game is completely unacceptable. It can't
Right.
happen. It shouldn't happen, and it's happened way too many times over the last couple of years, and that's just got to stop. There's no way around it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. You got to get your head in the game and play more focused and have a better mindset when you're between the white lines, and they just got to do it. Like you said, it's the coaches can only say so much. They can scream about it till they're red in the face, but
Hmm.
the players have got to execute on the field. And part of execution is not having pre-snap penalties or
Yeah.
post-snap penalties. So it's all got to be corrected. One more thing before we move to the defense, Jake.
Mhm.
South Florida defensively, they've been very opportunistic through 2 weeks, Jake. They forced 5 turnovers so far, 2 fumbles and 3 interceptions. They got to save to who already has 2 picks on the year. So Alabama better be careful holding on to that football. It's they're an opportunistic defense. Now their opponents have not been very good. They're 1-1 right now. They lost to Western Kentucky in week 1 and beat Florida A&M in week 2. So not the toughest opponents, but an opportunistic defense is an opportunistic defense, and
Hmm.
we've shown signs of being capable of turning the football over. So they got to take care of the football this weekend against South Florida, or it could be another rough viewing for the Titans. But Jake, as we shift our focus to the defensive side of the football, South Florida's got a redshirt freshman quarterback, Jake, who's shown flashes. He's only completing about 55% of his passes, but he's the team's leading rusher, and he's accounted for 8 touchdowns in 2 games, 4 on the
Dang.
ground and 4 through the air. So he's a pretty athletic player, a gifted player. Like I said, he's a redshirt freshman from North Carolina, and his name has completely slipped my mind for some reason. But he's a pretty solid player, and another fun fact about South Florida, their new head coach is his first year, Alex Golish. He was Tennessee's offensive coordinator under Josh Heupel, so he's gonna run that Tennessee style of offense. So it's kind of a good mock game for Alabama to get ready for the Tennessee matchup later in October. So a little interesting fact there as well. So it's going to be an interesting matchup for Alabama's defense against that style of offense.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited about it. Every opportunity to improve your game, whether it be, against South Florida or an Ole Miss or A&M or a FCS school, it's always an opportunity to hone your skills and get better each and every week. And after the Texas, like you said, says after the loss, we see what we have to fix, especially defensively. We've got to generate more pressure. We had zero. I mean, there was a stat that come out today that 10%. We got 10% pressure the entire game against. That's a front four against Texas. That is absolutely unacceptable. It was like our guys, once they engaged, that was it. They were just looking around trying to find the ball. You got to go after that quarterback. I was really. We mentioned Dallas Turner, but Chris Braswell did not show up at all. He was not getting any pressure. So I feel like we've got to establish some pressure, especially against this freshman quarterback. We can get him rattled early, and then in the secondary, we've got to have some more communications. I feel like one of the bright spots in the secondary so far has been Malachi Moore, and he's done a great job back there. But it still seemed like there was still some miscommunication somewhere last week. So hopefully we get that straightened out. But if there is one bright spot, I feel like it's Malachi Moore. He is playing his heart out right now for this team.
Yeah, I agree. I think defensively, Malachi Moore's been the MVP. He's been the most consistent player. He's played physical. He's played aggressive. He's been in the right spot. I feel like every time I've seen him. So uh, you're right. The defense has a lot to fix, and it starts with the defensive line and the edge rushers. They've got to get pressure, Jake. And if Kevin Steele has to bring 5 or 6 guys to get pressure, then that's what you do. You can't allow a quarterback to sit back there and pick apart your defense. You just can't let that happen.
Nope.
So if you can't get pressure with 4, then bring 5. If you can't get pressure with 5, bring 6. And if you can't get pressure with 6, then you ain't going to have a good season defensively. I mean, that's just the fact. So if they can't generate pressure with 5 or 6 guys, it's going to be a long season for that back end because they can't cover forever, Jake. And
Right.
And there has been some breakdowns in the coverage, but you got some newer guys back there. Terrion Arnold, he played some last year. This is his first full season as a starter. Caleb Downs is a true freshman. You got guys like Malachi Moore. He's playing safety. He's been a star his entire career. He's played some safety, but he's been a star his entire career. He's playing some different roles. Trey Amos is getting in there, and also a newcomer from Louisiana. Jalen Key's a newcomer. So they've got to create some continuity back there and be a little better as far as, like you said, the communication and just being where you're supposed to be. Right. And you can't have the blown assignments and the blown coverages and having guys running wide open down the field. That just can't happen. I mean, if you get beat one-on-one, you get beat one-on-one. That just that's going to happen from time to time. But they had Xavier Worthy matched up on Caleb Downs one time. I can't imagine we have any defensive call where we have a freshman safety playing man-to-man coverage against one of the fastest receivers in the country. And if we have that in our defensive package, then Kevin Steele's an idiot and Nick Saban's an idiot for letting that happen. I'm sorry, that's the truth.
That's cold hard truth.
That you can't do that. That's you're asking for it. So I don't think that was there's no way that was the call. It was just a miscommunication. Somebody didn't switch. Something happened. And you're matched up Caleb Downs with Xavier Worthy, and Xavier Worthy's going to beat him every time on a foot race.
Right, exactly.
And it's just he's going to beat most guys in a foot race. So I can't imagine that was what the call was. So just got to get better on the back end as far as communication goes and being where you're supposed to be. But to me, the whole thing rides defensively on generating pressure, Jake, and getting movement. I mean, they got to get some movement, Jake. It's just the defensive line. For whatever reason, just does not seem like it has developed in the last few years. And I don't want to point fingers, but we talked in the preseason, Jake, about how this was a contract year for Freddie Roach, and so far There's no reason to bring him back.
Yeah.
There's been no player development. There's been no player improvement. Justin DuBois is the same player he was as a freshman. So was Tim Smith. Uh,
Hmm.
maybe Jamarian Latham's improved a little bit. Maybe that's just because he's put on a little more. He's been more physical because he's putting on some size.
Hmm.
But where's James Smith, the 5-star freshman? Where's he at?
I
You
ain't
know,
seen him at all yet.
yeah,
Yeah.
where's the development in Damon Payne, a guy who's a former 5-star? Where's
Right.
development in Monkel Goodwine, a former highly rated 4-star prospect? Where is those guys' development at? So that's something that we've got to see, Jake. Those guys have got to play better, and that goes back to, like I said, Freddie Roach. I hate to point fingers, but the facts are facts. They've got to improve.
Yeah, I agree, Stacey. And we talked about it all off season, and I mean, it's just a game of football. You win your games in the trenches on both sides. And Alabama, just through, I mean, honestly, through two games, the first game, I felt like it was better, but it could have been a lot better. But we absolutely lost a trench war against Texas last week, and on both sides. And we're not going to win a lot of games when we're losing the trench battle. So those guys get more physical. They've got to get pressure defensively. We, like you said, if we're blitzing four, can't get to the quarterback, bring five. If we can't get him with five, bring another guy. If we can't get him with that, we're in trouble.
Yep.
That's just a cold hard truth. So hopefully we can scheme up some blitzes this week. Now I have noticed, and I understand completely, because there is a lot of speed on that defense. That there are plays, and there have been times where Texas last week just got out real quick, and
Hmm.
Middle Tennessee State did that as well. But there are times where Ewers were just standing in the pocket and there was nobody
Yep.
around, and he just sat there and just picked us apart.
Yep.
So that is inexcusable. I know there's some plays that have gone out real quick, but there's been plenty of other plays where he had 10 seconds to throw that ball.
Yep. Yep. It's crazy.
Hmm.
I don't understand how they can't generate more pass rush than what they have so far. And uh, I'm hoping you see, you got to take each game for what it is. South Florida doesn't have a lot of talent. I mean, let's just call a
Right.
spade a spade. So you're not going to learn a lot. The only thing you're going to learn against a team like South Florida, Jake, is what kind of mentality does this team have coming off a loss? Do they come out and play hard? Do they come out and play physical and fast and just with a lot of energy? That's what I want to see. And do
Hmm.
they execute? Do they not
Hmm.
commit a bunch of penalties? Do they take care of the football? Just the little things, Jake. They got to take the talent is there, Jake. They just got to take care of the fundamental things that it takes to win football games. And if they
Hmm.
do that, they're going to be fine.
Yeah, absolutely, Stacey. I mean, we have had a top three class the last 4 or 5 years, so the talent is there. It's just we've got to get the right mentality, and like games like we got Saturday. It's I want to see, like Tyler Booker said, I want to see guys playing pissed off. I want to see that physicality, that just blow the guy that's in front of you up and make a lane. Or on the defensive side, you get to that quarterback as soon as they snap, they say HUD. I want to see somebody in that dude's face.
Yeah.
That's we need to see that. We need to see that type of mentality this Saturday, just so we know how it's going to be the rest of the season. If we come out with that mentality, then I'm going to say, okay, this team, they realize their mistakes. They're going to rectify them, and it's going to be a great season. Let's play ball. But if they don't, they just come out lethargic. Then I'm like, okay, then this team is not that team that we
Yep.
thought it was going to be. So
Yep.
I want to see the mentality makeup of this team, like you said, Stacey.
Yep, that's basically all I'm looking for this week against South Florida. And Jake, before we head out and give our predictions on the game score, offensively, who do you think is going to be the MVP for Alabama?
I'm going to go running back this week, and I'm going to go Jace McClellan. I think, he started out really well, and offensive line started really well in the Texas game. I just don't know what happened running wise. It just died. I guess it's because we didn't really have a passing threat at the time. So they was bringing eight men in the box and just shutting us down. But I feel like Jace McClellan was going to bounce back and have a really good day. I could see 125 yards out of him this week.
Yeah, I like that pick. I'm gonna go with Amari Black. I think we're gonna feature him a little more this week, make things easier for whoever the quarterback is. So I'm gonna pick Amari Black for my offensive MVP. All right, what about defensively, Jake? Who you got?
I'm gonna go Malachi Moore. It may be a safe pick, but like we said earlier, Stacey, he's been the most consistent in the secondary, and he's been the most physical on the defense. It seems like outside of Deontay Lawson, so far. So I feel like he's going to have a big game, and I feel like I kind of smell a pick this week from him or some kind of turnover. He almost got one last week with that fumble, but unfortunately Texas was able to fall on it.
Yeah, I'm going to go. You mentioned his name. I'm going to go with Deontay Lawson. I think
Mhm.
I think he could have a double-digit tackle performance and maybe get him another sack or maybe even a pick. I think he's going to have a big game for Alabama.
Mhm.
I think he's the leader of that defense. Him and Malachi Moore are. So
Mhm.
I like both those picks there. I think both those guys are going to show up and show out big for Alabama defensively.
My X factor on defense though is somebody who I thought or who I think has had a really good show in the first two games. That's Kendra Blackshire. I've
Okay,
been
yeah.
really impressed with how he's played so far this year and his chances and the time he's been on the field.
I like that. I like that. All right, I'm gonna give me an I'm gonna give you an X factor on defense for me. I'm gonna go. I think you start to see some younger players.
Hmm.
I'm gonna go James Smith.
Okay, I love it. I would love to see that.
I think we might see him this week, and he may make a play or two.
Yeah, we need a spark on that defensive front. So if that's the
Yep.
guy who brings it, put him out there.
Yep. All right, Jake. Time for our score predictions before we head out. I'm assuming you're going to pick Alabama. What do you think that score is going to be? I think they're favored by like what 34 or something like
32. It was
32.
32 last I saw. Might be
All right, I'll look at.
34 now.
All right, let me look it up real quick so we can get that
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. But as for the game, Stacey, we've talked
32. 32.
32. Okay. So as for the game, like we said, we want to see the mental makeup of the team. We need to see how they're going to play, how they're going to be focused. Because I feel like even when you're not playing, you know, up a team like you got to get up for a game like this, regardless of who you're playing. Especially after a loss, you've got to be mentally prepared and get out there and play bully ball like you've talked about all off season. And and I feel like, and I'm not trying to be a homer here, but I got to feel like this team is going to play differently than when it has the first 2 weeks of the season. I think they're going to cover that spread easily, and I think they're going to have like a 42 to 48 point win. So I'm going to say 58-10 Alabama.
Yeah, I've been going back and forth on whether they cover or not, because there's a high chance of rain and thunderstorms for Saturday in Tampa.
Right.
So I don't know how much the weather is going to affect the game, but I'm with you. I don't even care what the score is. I want to see what the mental makeup of this team is, Jake. It's things have got to change as far as the mentality of the team.
Mm-hmm.
It's been the same thing for the last couple of years as far as just they see I don't want to soft really isn't the right word. They're not soft. They don't have that edge.
Right.
And I want to see that edge from Alabama that has become synonymous with Alabama football under Nick Saban. So that's what I want to see. I don't know what a good score prediction is because I haven't thought about the score as much as I want to see the team play from a mentality standpoint. But I think Alabama wins. I think I'm going to go something like 45 to 10. So I think that's enough to cover the spread. And I don't know what the over under is, but I'm going to go 45-10 just for numbers sake.
Yeah. I forgot about the thunderstorms and stuff down there this weekend. So that's probably a safe bet. So yeah, I'm with you though, Stacey. I just want to see what the team does. I want to see how they respond to to adversity after
Yeah.
losing a big game at home. Then now they go on the road, albeit it's not really a huge opponent, but you've got to get your mind right for this type of game to set
Yep.
yourself up for success in the weeks following. So we'll
Yep.
find out a lot about the team this week. I do
Yeah.
feel
I
like.
mean, the way you can look at this, Jake, is the 2023 season starts right now for Alabama.
Yep, absolutely.
Take away the first 2 weeks, because everything's still in front of you. The season starts now, and Nick Saban even kind of pointed that. He said the future is now, right now. So it's time, like you said at the beginning, it's time to stop talking and get to walking. So
that's right.
Hopefully they can back it up. We'll see. And we're going to find out soon enough, Jake. But that's going to wrap it up. Thank you guys so much for watching. Been a lot of fun to kind of discuss this and kind of get our thoughts and opinions out there, kind of vent a little bit about the team and what we're hoping to see this weekend against South Florida. But hope you will like, share, and subscribe today. And also jump in the comments and let us know your score prediction for Saturday's matchup with South Florida. But that's going to do it. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, roll Tide.
Roll Tide.